Hello, Mandela, and welcome to Wednesday's maths lesson. Today we are going to continue to look at pictograms. Our learning objective is, can I read and interpret information from pictograms? In today's lesson, we will be learning to explain what a pictogram shows. We will also learn to locate key information in a pictogram. We will then use the pictogram to answer some questions. Let's get going with our lesson starter. I'm going to read the questions to you, and then I want you to have a go at solving them on your whiteboards. Then we will check our answers. Question 1. How many more children play football than rugby? So I need to look at my key, and the first thing that I notice is 1 circle equals 10 children. How many more children play football than rugby? So I need to work out the difference between football and rugby. Can you remember what half a symbol would represent? Question 2. Write 682p in pounds and pence. Question 3. Divide 48 by 2. Question 4. Find the sum of 342 and 189. Pause your video now and have a go at solving those questions. Let's check the answers. So, question 1. How many more children play football than rugby? So the first thing I needed to do was to count and see how many children played football. Count in tens with me. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I've got half a circle, so that represents 5 children. So 55 children play football. Let's count how many children play rugby. 10, 20, 30. So I needed to take 30 away from 55, which would give me 25. If I write £6.82 in pounds and pence, I would write it as £6.82. If I divided 48 by 2, I would have 24. Find the sum means add the two amounts together. So that would give me a total of 531. Let's have a look at these questions about the pictogram. When we're looking at a pictogram, what is the first thing we need to do? The first thing we need to do is to look at our key and see what our key represents. So I know that 1 apple equals 10 pieces of fruit. So 1 apple equals 10 pieces of fruit. My first question is, how many pieces of fruit were eaten in total? So the first thing we're going to do is count how many pieces of fruit were eaten and then add them together to find the total. Count the apples with me. Remember, we're counting in tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So I can write 60 here. Now I'm going to count the bananas. Count with me. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. What does half an apple represent? Half of 10 is 5, so it represents 5. So that means that 55 bananas were eaten. I'm going to count how many pears were eaten? Can you count with me? 10, 20. What does this represent? 5. So altogether, 25 pears were eaten. Next, we're going to count the strawberries. Can you count in tens with me? 10, 20, 30, 40. So 40 strawberries were eaten. Finally, we have to count the grapes. Can you count with me? 10, 20. So 20 pieces of grapes were eaten. Can you pause the video and add those numbers together to find the total number of pieces of fruit that were eaten? So if I add all of these together, 200 pieces of fruit were eaten. Let's look at the next question. How many pears were eaten? We've already counted that. So we know that 25 pears were eaten. So I can write 25 pears were eaten. Let's have a look at our next question. How many apples and grapes were eaten in total? So the first thing I'm going to do is look and see how many apples were eaten. So 60 apples were eaten. How many grapes were eaten? 20 grapes were eaten. Can you pause your video and add those together for me? Altogether, 80 apples and grapes were eaten. So 80 apples and grapes were eaten. And our final question, how many more apples were eaten than bananas? So I need to work out the difference between apples and bananas. So I can write this as a subtraction calculation. And I could write this as, as 60, because I know I have 60 apples, take away 55, because I know 55 bananas were eaten. 60, take away 55, sorry, is 5. So 5 more apples were eaten. When you're writing your answers, it's important that you finish it off by writing a sentence just like I have shown you to do. Let's have a look at this question. Year 3 have gathered information about their favourite animals. Use the information to complete the pictogram. So we've got some statements that are going to help us to complete the pictogram. So the first thing we need to do is look at our key and see what our key tells us. So our key tells us that one triangle is equal to 6 votes. So I've got some information about rabbits. So I'm going to count and see how many children voted for rabbits. I'm counting in sixes this time. So I've got 6. If I add 6 to 6, I get 12. And if I get another 6, I have 18. So 18 children voted for rabbits. So I can read my first sentence. Twice as many children voted for dogs as rabbits. So twice as many children voted for dogs as rabbits. So I need to double 18 or add 18 and 18. Can you pause your video and do that for me? That's right, the answer is 36. So I need to show that on my pictogram. So I know that one triangle represents 6. So I need to represent 36 on my pictogram. So I'm going to the dogs. So 6, 12, 18. If I'm adding another 18, how many triangles do you think I need to add to it? That's right, another 3 to show that there were 36 dogs in total. Let's read the next question. 15 children voted for horses. So I'm going to horses and I know 15 children voted for horses and I need to represent that on the pictogram. So if I take one triangle, that gives me 6. If I take another triangle, that gives me 12. If I was to take another triangle, that would give me 18, but I only need 15, so I've got 12. Let's count on to see how many more I need to make 15. 12, 13, 14, 15. So I need to represent 3. If one triangle represents 6, how could we represent 3? We could represent it with half a triangle to show 15. Let's have a look at our next statement. 6 more children voted for tiger than rabbit. Okay, so I know 18 children voted for tiger. So I can represent this on my pictogram. 6, 12, 18. But then it says 6 more children voted for tiger. So I need to add another triangle. How many does this represent? This represents 24. Finally, it tells me that 21 children voted for cats. Can you have a go at showing me this on your whiteboard? Let's represent our 21. 6, 12, 18. How many more do I need to make 21? 18, 19, 20, 21. 3 more. So I'm going to represent that with half a circle. And now I have used the information to complete my pictogram. Let's have a look at this final question. Information has been gathered about favourite sports in school. The astronauts are discussing the key they could use in the pictogram. So let's look at the information in the table first of all. So 8 children like to swim in. 14 children liked tennis. 12 children liked dance. 16 children liked football. 6 children liked tag rugby. And 4 other children liked a different sport. So let's see what our astronauts have to say. Red astronaut says, my symbol would equal 1. Our green astronaut says, my symbol would equal 2. And our pink astronaut says, my symbol would equal 4. Who do you agree with? Which of the astronauts do you agree with? Explain your answer. So what I'd like you to do now is pause your video, tell Mr. Fox who you agree with and why you agree with them. Pause your video for me. So we could use all of those in our key, but one would make it a very big pictogram. And there aren't any odd numbers. So we don't have any numbers that we need to use that are odd numbers. So I think that I would probably use the symbol that would equal 2. Which one would you choose to use? Now it's your turn. Choose between activity 1, activity 2 and activity 3. Then you could challenge yourself by completing the next activity if you have time. So, activity 1. Answer the questions about the pictogram. So, what does the key show you? Remember, the key is here. So, the key shows us this. Then you need to answer the rest of the questions. Remember to answer your questions in a sentence. Question 2, just like we had the pictogram to complete, you've got a pictogram to complete. When you're drawing your pictogram, I'd like you to use a ruler. You've been given your key, so you know that 1 square is equal to 8 votes. So the newsagents record how many of the different types of magazines and newspapers have sold in a day. Complete the pictogram using the given information. So you need to be a bit of a maths detective and use the clues to help you to draw your pictogram. I'm looking for really great presentation, Mandela class. Last activity, activity 3 today is draw a pictogram for the information. The information shows favourite sports in school. So you need to take this information and put it into a pictogram for me, remembering to use a ruler to draw your pictogram and to think about the symbol that you're going to use and what that will represent. Finally, your challenge questions. Question 7, true or false? The pictogram below shows the results of the tally chart. Explain your answer. Question 8, Evie has drawn a pictogram where 1 picture equals 10 children. Evie knows more children like daisies than daffodils, but fewer children like daisies than roses. Complete the pictogram showing one of the possibilities. Finally, question 9. Mary draws a pictogram to show Key Stage 2's favourite type of PE. Each child voted once. Mary says a third of the number of children that voted gym voted games. Is she correct? Explain your answers. Remember to upload your work onto Tapestry for me.